Coming up today, it's the Valley on ESPN. Our women's game of the week will be in Central Illinois. The Illinois State Redbirds taking on their rivals, the Salukis of Southern Illinois. Kelly and Burke and I will have the call coming your way at 2 o'clock Central Time on ESPN+. Kind enough to join us, the two head coaches, Cindy Stein of Southern Illinois, Kristen Gillespie of Illinois State. Ladies, thanks so much for your time. And I want to start off with you, Cindy, is the fact that this has been a tremendous season. We know this is now going to be your last season as a head coach down at Southern Illinois. When you have success like you and Kristen both are having with your respective teams, comes into it. But is there one particular thing that sticks out to you, at least to this point, that really shows why your team is at the top of the standings in the back?
Well, I would say, with our team this year, our culture is probably the best it's ever been. 1 through 14, they come to practice and they work hard. If say our starters are flat one day, then our other kids are basically just drilling them. They don't give up. It's like, so it's really competitive in practice. It's been the most competitive practices we've had since I've been here.
Kristen?
I would have to kind of echo what Coach just said. This group that we have is just a really fun group to coach. They get it. And it's funny because if you would have watched us in November, early December, you probably wouldn't have believed it. I don't know. It took us a little time to get on the same page, but from day one this summer, I thought this group could do something special. It just took us a little time to find our footing, but they're just an absolute joy to coach. And we just have a really selfless group. It's never about one person, and it's just they get excited for one another, which is awesome to coach.
Kristen, I wanted to ask you about Juju Redmond. She's moved herself to the front of the Jackie Stiles watch list conversation for Player of the Year. 3 games this season with 30 plus points or more. Another NBC Player of the Week honor this week. What's impressed you about the way she's raised her game to another level here in the last 4 weeks?
Yeah, when Juju decided to come back for her 5th year, I think she had some really specific goals personally and for our team. And she's just been that constant voice in our locker room, even when things weren't going so well. And she's just, if anyone knows Juju, she's a fierce competitor on the court, but she might be one of the all-time greatest young women I've coached. She's fun to be around, and our players feed off of her. And, they are so excited for Juju, at that Valpo game, the players are coming up, Coach, we got to keep feeding Juju. Oh, thank you. That's a earth shattering statement, right? But it's just, what I love about Ju, she's more worried about how she can get Mary shots. How can she set Kate Bowman up for a shot? Or how do we get, it's never about her. And it's just, that's what makes it so special, because she doesn't want the limelight. She doesn't want the spotlight, but she's just, she's playing at a level that is pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. Cindy, you have 3 seniors in particular that have been huge for your team this year, that have just been central pieces on both the offensive and defensive ends. And I'd be remiss if I don't mention Mackenzie Sylvie and what she's been able to do this year and the season she's having, arguably the best of her career. But I want to ask you about, in particular, Abby Brockmeyer and Gabby Walker. And those they're 2 of the most physical post players in the league. What makes their 1-2 punch so effective in the front court?
Well, one, they finally learned how to play together. I think that was huge. Early on, they didn't play very well together, and they've learned how to do that. And I talk about the fact that, Abby Brockmeyer was the most quarantined kid on our team last year and hardly got to play. And she just knew going into this year, she was going to give it everything she had every single day because she missed it so much and felt like it was a missed opportunity last year. And then Gabby was similar to that as well. So I think they just both have like a new lease on life. They learned so much over COVID of just exactly how much they missed basketball that they just knew, given a second chance, that they were going to just put it all out there and see where it goes. But they're both great kids, great students, great families. It's just, it's a tremendous honor to coach all of them.
I would imagine, Kristen, that's got to be a challenge for you when you got 2 terrific post players like Cindy has to go up against on Sunday.
Oh yeah, the big three, because you gotta throw Miss Sylvie in there. What Coach has done this year has just been unbelievable. It's been really fun just to. I watched their first game against Tennessee, and I was like, this team is for real. You could tell there was just a different level to them this year. And Coach, what you've been able to do is phenomenal. But I know that senior leadership with those three, they're going to be really hard to beat, especially down the stretch. And it's just, we'll have our hands full, and, it's going to be, I'm sure Coach thinks you have to have the whole team buy in for that defensive game plan. And I'm just I hope it's a great game on today.
Well, and I know you're complimenting us, but your team's pretty dang good too. So, just watching Juju, and you guys were talking about Juju earlier. One of the things I've noticed about Juju's from the defensive side is the fact that, and I'll use the Missouri State game, she was actually moving people where they needed to be on defense. If they were in the wrong spot, she literally was pushing them and talking the whole time. And that's, having that kind of person on your team, and then she can put 40 on you. Those are pretty good. And then she's got a lot of weapons. Illinois State's tough. You've done a great job. You got a great inside out attack. I don't want to think that these two games this weekend are going to be really, really tough.
Yes. And Coach, thank you for mentioning Juju's D, because, the first 2 years that she was a Redbird, we gave her a lot of grief because you go back and watch some of the game footage. Holy smokes. I think that's been a huge piece to our success the last couple, months, of just Juju's commitment to guard. And just her desire to be that type of leader on our team. And I think our team has kind of followed suit with her. So, but thank you for saying that. I know she'll love to hear that, because she always tells me she's a great defender. So
they all think that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Coach Stein, I'll have you know too, Mackenzie Sylvie definitely brought up her improved defense to me this year when I talked to her over on Zoom, how much of a focus she's put on her defense.
Well, she took a charge in practice, like early in practice this season. And I, of course, was like, oh my gosh, Mackenzie Sylvie put their first charge of her career, and she was like, and she knew, I think she's like, oh, this is like my third or fourth. So I'm like, but you've been here 5 years.
It only took 3, 4, or 5 years, coaches, for you to finally get your message through to the kids.
I don't know what that says about our coaching, Coach. I don't know.
Right.
Well, to close this out real quick, you guys you've already met once this season, and it was a battle in the first meeting, won by SIU. Just what's a thing or two for each of you coaches that stands out about that first meeting? And Cindy, let's start with you.
Well, I'll be honest. I felt as though Illinois State was a little flat to start the game, which I felt very fortunate. So, but the thing is, they're a great second half team. So it's like, you can't have enough points at the half because they're going to come back at you. And that's exactly what happened. And they're just tough. And I felt like we probably got them on an off night. And I don't know how Kristen felt about that, but I didn't feel like we had them at their best. And, sometimes that happens. And I think that's what's hard, is that you've got to play at your best every single night to have a win. And we were fortunate that we had a good game.
Kristen?
Coach, I think you guys played a lot into that. I thought you guys really defended us really well. The physicality kind of bothered us a little bit. And that's something that we've been talking a lot about, and that has to be a huge area of growth for our team. We were bad, but I think it was more the Salukis D. We were a little flat, but I'm never gonna say that's why we lost. It was all what they did to us. So we had a lot of great film the next morning, not great, but some interesting film to watch. And I think we've grown from that game, but we also know that it has to be a 4-quarter game if we're gonna have a chance to compete and to win.
Ladies, looking forward.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Sunday, and should be a fun first place battle.
Absolutely. And our coverage again starts at 2:00 Central Time, ESPN Plus. It's the Salukis and the Redbirds.